These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood, and at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities, and another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
In sports, we try to beat the clock. You probably have heard the saying, as the clock ticks down and the team is trying to make their comeback, the clock is our worst enemy. Any good coach or any good player will try their very best to beat the clock. They will try to make that last second field goal or that last second basket. It seems like in our lives that we are always trying to beat the clock. We are always rushing, trying to get everything done that we need to get done during the day. We are rushing to practice. We are rushing to the games. We are rushing to our kids' activities. We find ourselves rushing to church, and my, what an atmosphere that can create. It would seem that this is what our life is all about. It is simply about beating the clock. Time, you see, is so valuable. For an example, if the doctor was to inform you tomorrow that you have an terminal illness, the very first question that you are going to ask him is, how much time do I have? Because time is life. I said time is life. You see your kids start to drive, and then they go to college, and you ask yourself, where did time go? Where did my life go? You can run out of money and still be fine, right? Many of us, I just came back from vacation, I'm out of money. You can run out of a lot of things here on this earth, but you cannot run out of time. But if you run out of time, you have nothing. Besides managing our money, we need to manage our time. I'm going to say that again. Besides just managing our money, we need to manage our time. It bothers me and it amazes me as a pastor how people can have time for everything but the house of God. They can have time to do everything during the week but come to church on Wednesday night. I don't know why this house isn't this full on Wednesday nights. Where are you at? Time is life, and yet time is all that we really have. You see, you can make more money, but you can't make more time. You can make more friends, but you can't make more time. Job 14:5 simply says, since his days are determined and the number of his months is with you, God, you see, has given each one of us an allotted amount of time. Why did God allow that to happen? Why did God let that take place? Why did God let him die? Because you have to understand that every one of us have been allotted amount of time. And you're not going to go under it and you won't go over it. Because when God plugs that in on your life, that is going to be the day that you will meet eternity. The thing that you and I have to understand, the most important thing in our life besides our relationship with Jesus Christ is our time management. We find time for everything. We have time for pleasures. We have time for entertainment. We have time to socialize. We have time to make ourselves happy. But I want to ask you something. Are you making time for your relationship with Jesus Christ? Psalms tells us in 118 and 24, would you throw it up there for me? This is the day. I want you to look at this verse. This is the day which the Lord has made. And then look at this next sentence. I never really looked at it like this until just a few days ago. But look at the word we. We will. Right? We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. God wants us to use our time wisely. You'll find in this passage of Scripture that we find three ways that you and I can simply beat the clock. The first thing we need to do is we must appreciate each day as a gift from God. So many people are saying, oh, I got to go through another day. Oh, this, oh, that. If you would really stop and understand that this day is a gift from God. Notice in this text only mentions it today. It does not talk about yesterday. It does not talk about tomorrow. The only thing it talks about is today. Every minute that you have and every breath that you and I take, we better understand something this morning, that it is a gift from God. You are breathing today because God gave you the opportunity to breathe. That's why he said, enter into my gates with thanksgiving and into my courts with praise. He said, let everything that have breath praise. Come on, somebody. Praise ye the Lord. I can't help what happened yesterday, and tomorrow hasn't come, but I have today. Come on, I have today, and today is a gift from God. It's a gift that you and I need to cherish. Have you ever heard someone make the statement, I wish I had as much time as you do? Now think about that. Think about how silly that really sounds. We all have the same amount of time. And if you are here this morning and you think, I don't have enough time to do everything that I want to do, guess what? You need to join the crowd. There was a study done by USA Today that shows that the average time needed to do everything that we want to do in a day, it would take 42-hour day. Almost double what we have in a day. That means it's pretty well emphatic that you and I are not going to get done everything that we want to do in a day. But there is good news. We all will die not having everything done. How often do you hear, I've always wanted to do that? But the good news is that you will have time to do everything you need to do. And what you need to do is what God would have you to do. And God will provide the time for you. Just think about Jesus, what all Jesus accomplished on his short tenure here on earth. He lived 33 years and then he was crucified, but yet he completed 99.9% of his ministry here on this earth. He had to convince the people that he was the promised Messiah. Then he had to convert them from the law of the Old Testament to the works of grace. Then he had to die by hanging on a cross. He had to get buried, and 3 days later, he had to rise again. And that's not all. Then he had to come back here and give some last instructions. Listen to what Jesus said in John chapter 17 and verse 4. I have glorified you on earth, and I have finished the work which you have given me to do. I wonder if that's going to be said about you and I? Have we really done the work that Jesus Christ has asked us to do? Because you see, what you do for Christ is what's going to last a lifetime. It doesn't really matter how much money that I have in the bank. It really doesn't matter all of the things that I have accumulated. What matters is what I've done for God. I did see this, folks, and my wife is a witness on vacation. I seen a hearse pulling a car. I looked again, and my eyes did not deceive me. But that hearse was really pulling that car. And I was thinking, I don't know what good that car is going to do that individual that's ever in that car. Because his time has come and his time has gone. You and I still have the clock. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? We still have it ticking in our lives. I don't know about you, but there are times that I just want to throw that clock. There's times I just want to toss that clock. There's times that I just want to bury this clock, isn't there? There's times I just don't want this clock to have anything to do with my life. There are times that I want to take that clock and I just want to beat that clock and beat that clock and beat that clock. You want to know why? Because that clock is controlling my everyday movement. You know what? Some of us need to wake up and realize there is a clock that is governing our lives, and that clock is called eternity. We allow this clock to rule us so much until it tells us to do something that we don't want to do, right? And then what do we want to do? We want to hide this clock. We want to beat that clock. We want to destroy that clock. Have you ever noticed that you can't escape the tick? It's always in your ear. It's everywhere you go. It's everywhere you are. And some of you that are over 60, you even hear it louder. That's right, isn't it? Thank you. Why do we hear it louder? Because we understand that time is life. And without time, right, there is no life. Who needs a little more time? Who? Come here, Harrison. Here, take this home and put this in your room, okay? But time, we need to understand that each day is a day that we need to dedicate to the glory of God. There are two verbs in our text that describes the present, and it also describes the past tense. Those are the words is and has. The only day that we have to rejoice in is today. You hear about people talking about saving time. You can't save time. You are allotted a certain amount of time. And it is without your human ability to save it. What you do with your time is up to you. Are you going to spend it foolishly, or will you spend it wisely? Because you cannot save time. That is why time is so valuable. Because you can't put time in a jar. Look around at those that are in their 70s and 60s around here. Age has told on them. You know, I was looking at pictures of when I just got married. I had a whole lot more hair than I have now. I was still as good looking as I am, but I had a whole lot more hair. I was just a little bit thinner then than I am now. Anybody a little bit heavier today than you were 5 years ago? Now the rest of you come back this evening, I'm going to preach on lying. Because here's the bottom line. Time tells all. Time tells if you've had a hard life or a good life. My wife looks so good because she had such an easy life. I mean, she had me as a boyfriend. She has me as a husband. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, she has got a life of ease. You can't really tell because time has been good to her. But I look at some of you and time has not been so good. And time has told that you've had a rough life. Time has told that you have been to the gutters. Time is telling that you have spent some rough days. You hear this preacher today. The way that you've got to look at time as you have got to look at it as it is the most important commodity in my life. I can't unring yesterday. I cannot, for the love of anything, go back and redo yesterday. And one of the enemy's greatest tools is to get you to live in a yesterday world, in your faults and in your mistakes and in your trials. He don't want you to realize He's a God of grace. He's a God of mercy. And where sin does abide, grace and mercy much more abide. He wants you to stay back. Do I have another clock I can beat up? He wants you to stay back in that warped time zone of yesterday, with your mistakes of yesterday, with your failures of yesterday. I can't be that because I've done this. I can't do that because I just got out of here. I can't do that for God because I'm not good enough. And that's exactly what the enemy wants you to do. The enemy wants to keep you warped in yesterday, thinking there's no possibility for tomorrow. But you've got to understand something. Yesterday's gone. What I did yesterday, I will never, ever, ever change. But what I can do is make today different. I can make this moment count. I can make this second matter. I can make this moment really be valuable in my life. Can I tell you today that the most important thing that you need to do is make sure of your calling and election. Today is the day of salvation. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but today. Today is your day. You can't store time. You can't harbor time. Paul gives us a warning found in Ephesians 5 and 15. Seeing then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. I don't know about you, friend. I just don't want anything of this world. You can have this world, but give me Jesus. As I was on my vacation, thank you for being understanding and allowing my family to go. But I sat there across from Angie and Chase, and I said, I am so thankful that I was born in the truth. I'm so glad that I know who Jesus is. I'm glad that I have a relationship with Him. That does not mean I've lived a perfect life. That does not mean that I've done everything good. But it does mean I'm forgiven. I said I'm forgiven and I'm saved by the blood of the Lamb. Can I tell you today, you can be washed white as snow. The phrase redeeming the time is really an accountant term. It means to cash in on every moment that you've got. You see, you won't relive this moment. You hear it? Every second is ticking. Some of you hear that while I'm preaching all the time because you got me on the time clock. But I've been gone for almost 3 weeks, and it's going to be a while. Listen to Pastor today. We got to redeem the time. Think about it like this. Imagine your banker calling you and saying there was an anonymous donor who has given you 864,000 pennies in your account. And this is going to occur every day of your life. The only thing that you've got to do is you've got to spend that money every day. Some of you are trying to figure out the math. Let me just help you. It's $864, okay? All right, you can get back to preaching with me. I know it was troubling you. But think about this. You can't store it. You can't save it. You've got to spend $864 every day. I wish somebody would give me that challenge. I would accept that challenge. Anybody, my brother back there, he's going to accept. I would accept that challenge. How about you? But you got to understand something. God has given us 864 seconds a day. And what we do with those seconds is going to matter what kind of life we are going to live. At the top of our list has got to be our relationship with Jesus Christ. We have got to start each and every day with God. So many Christians make the mistake of making time for God. Their saying is, I just don't have time to read the Bible. I just don't have time to go to church. I just don't have time. But you've got to understand something. God has called you and I to be time managers. And one day we're going to stand before the Master. And the timesheet of our lives is going to be opened up. Oh, you went here instead of coming to church on a Wednesday night. Oh, that was more important to you putting a few more bucks in your bank account than coming to church. Oh, I see. Oh, this is more important than the things of God. Oh, you can make this, but you can't make Monday night prayer. You see, our timesheet is going to be opened up before God. And everything that we have done in our lives, I would hate to stand before God and say, I was on the lake, God, on that Sunday morning, and I just couldn't make it to church. I'm only 25 minutes. That's if you drive really slow. I can make it in less than 20 minutes. Just don't you be on the road. 20 minutes away. But God, the lake was more appealing today than being in your house. God, being with my family is more appealing than being in God's house. You see, the problem is every one of us are governed by this. And every one of us one day is going to stand before the Maker. And we're going to give an account, not only of a life that we live, but a life how we spent our time. So when you just start thinking, that's really not that important. They don't need me. Let me tell you something, folks. It's not a privilege for you to be here, for us to have you here. It's your privilege to be here. I'm sorry. I think we've gotten that all out of whack. That we feel like, oh, it's such an honor if you're here. It's such a privilege if it's... No, it's your privilege to be in God's presence. No, it's your privilege to be in the house of the Lord. And the things you value are things that are closest to your heart, right? You see, here's what we all got to realize as the musicians come. Life is full of time. Matthew 6:33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The last thing we get out of this verse from beating the clock, we need to celebrate each day in the goodness of God. Folks, we allow our days to fly by us. We allow our days to slip by us. I got into an Uber car just a few days ago, and I asked the driver, I said, how are you doing today? He said, oh, I choose to have a great day. I choose for this day to be a good day. I said, what about the traffic? He said, oh, I don't let it bother me because this is a good day. And here, I don't know what kind of relationship he had with God. I'm not here to judge him. But I do know one thing, that if an Uber driver can look at that day that he was getting ready to face, hauling people all over a city in the time of traffic, and he's saying it's whatever kind of day you decide to make. Do you know what? You and I who have a relationship with Jesus Christ, we should make every day a rejoicing day. To you and I that know Jesus Christ, every day should be a day that we rejoice in God's goodness. But Pastor, you don't know the bad news I got. No, I don't. But I do know that this is the day that the Lord has made. I do know what it's like to have a doctor tell me that at the most I have was 7 years to live. Well, that sucker missed it by a long time, because I'm in my 11th year and have a whole lot more to live. We allow circumstances and situations to determine the day that we're going to have. There's nothing like being in pain. Pain is a horrible thing. Pain is miserable. I know what pain is like, but I made up in my mind a long time ago, pain was not going to dictate the kind of day that I was going to have. And some of you need to make up in your mind right now, I am in control of my day. Come on, I'm in control of my day. I don't have to have a bad day unless I want to have a bad day. I don't have to be depressed unless I choose to be depressed. I don't have to be down and out unless I choose to be down and out. Here's the thing. There was a man that was feeling sorry for himself because he had holes in his shoes. Until he looked over and he seen a man in a wheelchair who had no feet. Many times in our lives we think that our world is so bad. Everything in our world is terrible. Nobody's got it as bad as I do. I don't know, I may butcher this. I may need you to help me. But Chase was showing me an article that showed a man. Can you remember how that was said?
People said, how do you stay so positive if you don't have any feet?
Yeah, how do you stay positive with not having any legs? And the man said, how do you stay so negative having 2 legs? You know what? We got to ask ourselves, why are we so negative with realizing that Jesus is fighting our battles? Why are we always in the mulligrubs realizing that the great I am is on my side? You want to know why? Listen. Want to know why? Because we've tuned it out. Come on. We got so many. Listen, you can't hear it with that playing. Can you? Come on, play. You can't hear it. We've got so many things right here that tunes everything else out in our lives. Really, the most important thing in life is your relationship with Jesus Christ. When it's all said and when it's all done, the only important thing is, am I ready to meet Jesus? How old is she? 8? 7. And her name one more time? Madeline. I'm getting ready to baptize Madeline. But Madeline's 7 years old, and Madeline's just started coming to this church. How long have y'all been coming? About a month. Madeline, at 7 years old, has been reading her Bible. She's been reading in Acts where that she needs to be baptized in Jesus' name. She came to her grandma and said, hey, I need to be baptized. And grandma said, do you even know what that is? Well, yes. I have to be forgiven of my sins. And I've got to have the blood of Jesus on my life. You know what the thing is? Madeline, would you come down here real quick? Come on, you're not afraid. Come on, hurry, run. I know you're a young lady, but I need you to hurry. Some people's got me on that clock right there. You know what our problem is? We've allowed time to set in between here and where we are. We've allowed time. We've gotten busy with our careers. We've gotten busy building our businesses. We've gotten busy making our kingdoms. We've gotten busy doing life, haven't we? And we forgot. Through all of the keys being played, I can hear it. I know some of you 60 and older won't be able to, but can some of you younger ones hear that? Can you still hear it? I know you can't, Jennifer. I won't ask you. But listen. Listen. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? No, don't be quiet. Don't quiet down. I don't want to make it easy on them. Listen to me today as I'm done. Time is controlling our lives. And can I tell you, I don't take this home with you. All right, thank you. Listen to me. Time's either fighting for you or time is fighting against you. And I'll tell you how you determine that is where's your relationship with Jesus Christ. I can beat this clock. Man, Becky, aren't you glad you ain't cleaning right now? I don't know where she is. Jennifer, Jody, I love you all. Sorry to give you this gift on my way back. It doesn't matter that I destroyed it. The clock is still ticking. And every tick that goes by is one tick closer to my departure. I was born to die. You were born to die. But what determines is what I do between birth and between death. What am I going to do with my life right here? If I gain the whole world, but I lose my, what does it profit me? If I leave my children millions, it sure ain't gonna, Tommy, I'm not gonna do that. I know what the Bible says about laying up an inheritance. And Chase is gonna get a house that probably isn't paid off. I'm leaving him an inheritance. He's going to probably have a car that's not paid off either. Because I'm living every day of my life. I'm not trying to compete with Ross Perot. I'm not trying to be Donald Trump. What I'm trying to be is a God man. And a man that has a relationship with Jesus Christ. Listen to this, Pastor. Your first and foremost thing better be your relationship with God. Because it's ticking. Do you hear it? Do you hear it, Macy? Can you hear that? Well, yeah, you're young. You can hear that, can't you? get over here in this section and ask some of them, they're not going to be able to hear it. We better be careful that we don't try to destroy the clocks of our lives, hide the clocks of our lives. Because it don't matter if you do. It still is ticking. As we stand, will you pick that up? As we stand today, I come to ask you a simple question. If today is your day, where will you spend eternity? If today is your day that your allotted amount of time has expired, where will you spend eternity? You see, it doesn't matter what mama does. It doesn't matter what daddy does. This young man, as much as I love him, he can't make heaven on my religion. He can't make heaven on my relationship. He's got to have his own. Every one of us in here have to have our own relationship. And as every head is bowed and every eye is closed right now, only you really know where you stand in eternity. I may think I know where you are, and your mate may think they know where you are, but only you really know where eternity is for you. As Jody begins to sing softly, I wonder, would you just raise your hand